back to Holistic, and thank you guys for continuing your support and watching my videos, and to those of you who are actually watching my videos and subscribing to it if you're liking it, and thank you very much for that. It means a lot to me. So as promised, I'm continuing with the part 2 of custom ROMs. I already put out a video on part 1. If you haven't seen that yet, I will link it in the description. You can go back and check that out. This is going to be part 2, and just to give you a quick recap, in part 1 we did see about what are custom ROMs, okay, and what are kernel sources. Looks like my handwriting is going from horse shit to bullshit, so just bear with me on that. What are custom ROMs and the kernel sources, right? Now we will go ahead and see some more concepts in part 2. And without further ado, let's get started. Let me clear the screen. I'm getting used to this Microsoft whiteboard, so apologies for that. Yeah, so we know that to create a custom ROM, you will require the manufacturer to release the kernel sources, right? And what happens once the kernel sources are released? Will we be able to build custom ROMs? The answer to that question is yes, we can build custom ROMs, but then how do we install it on a device? To install it on a device, there's one particular person who needs to accept it, right? And he is called as the bootloader. Now, who is the bootloader? So bootloader is a program installed on your Android phone. So when you boot your device, this guy is the one who actually checks whether you're running the manufacturer specified OS or not. So basically, as soon as your device starts up, the bootloader is the program that runs and checks the integrity of your device to make sure that your device is safe and secure and it is running the manufacturer's OS on it. Any deviation from that and your device will not boot. So bootloader is the first point of contact, right? The first contact. Now, how do we let the bootloader install our custom versions of ROMs, which we build with the kernel sources here? So you got a good custom ROM now. You got, let's say, you got a Lineage OS, which is basically the stock Android, right? And you want to install it on your device, but your bootloader is locked. So with a locked bootloader, there is no chance that you can install it on your device. The reason being, a locked bootloader will not permit the custom OS to run. So you have to unlock the bootloader, right? So how do you unlock a bootloader? So unlocking a bootloader is also up to the manufacturer. So mostly the manufacturers will not allow you to unlock the bootloader. They can do that by giving an update, or they can release the phone with bootloader unlock capability built in, but most of them don't do that. They just make sure that they don't have to, go through the risk of giving you an unlockable bootloader. So they lock the bootloader, and when you ask them the kernel sources, they will release the kernel source, but they will not let you unlock the bootloader. So if and only if your manufacturer gives you both of these, let's unlockable bootloader and the kernel sources, then we can go ahead and install a custom ROM on your device. Pretty simple concept, right? Yeah. So let's dig a little bit deeper into what's a bootloader. I mean, what are the commands involved around bootloader? So you have something called ADB, which is called as the Android Debug Bridge. And you have something called Fastboot, which is called Fastboot. Apologies, it's not an abbreviation, it's a command. Right, so these two will be able to let you play around in your bootloader. So ADB is a command which, when you connect your phone to your system or your laptop or laptop or your PC, and you execute a command, let's say adb reboot bootloader, your device will boot up or restart and go into something called as the fast boot mode, or that user interface that you will see post execution of this command is called as the bootloader interface. Now, why is this important? This step is important if you want to unlock your bootloader. If your bootloader is unlockable, that is, your manufacturer gave you an update to unlock your bootloader, then you can simply do adb reboot bootloader, and once in the fast boot screen or the bootloader screen, you can execute fast boot flashing unlock. Don't try this on your phone yet because you don't know if your bootloader is unlockable or not, so don't do this thing. And in order to be able to do this command or execute this command and go into the bootloader mode, you need to enable two things in your settings, in your system settings. First, you need to enable USB debugging so that your device's RSA fingerprint is registered with your PC. And the second important step is to allow OEM unlock. These two are present in your device settings, so if you search for these, you will be able to get it. But unfortunately, these two are hidden settings. So I'll tell you how to see these settings on your actual phone settings page. To see these on your phone settings page, you have to go to your phone settings, then navigate further into About Phone, navigate further and see if you can find something called as a build number. Once you identify this text in your settings in About Phone or anywhere, maybe About System, or it could be named anything depending on what your phone model is or what's running on that, just find the build number, tap on this build number text at least 7 times, and then you will get a prompt, a small short toast message, as we say in the Android world. It will say you are now a developer. Pretty fancy tag, but it's just to keep your spirits high. Which means you, in your settings, if you go all the way back to settings, you will find an additional options in your settings called developer options. And within this developer options is where you will find USB debugging and allow OEM unlock. Pretty simple process, right? Go to settings, About Phone, tap build number 7 times. Voila, you get the developer options, and then you go ahead and find these two options and you can enable that. After this, if you connect your phone, you will register your phone's RSA. It will be a small prompt saying that allow this phone's blah blah blah. Select that and connect it, and then you can execute adb reboot bootloader and you will go to the bootloader screen. Right, so this is the very first step towards unlocking your bootloader to be able to install a custom ROM. What happens when you unlock a bootloader is your device is completely wiped, meaning your device goes to a factory reset state. Why is that? That's because it's the safety mechanism for unlocking a bootloader. When you unlock a bootloader, you're basically making the system think that you have breached the security protocol, and that will result in immediate wipe of the system. So your complete system gets wiped, and once you boot back, you will not have any data that you had on your phone. So make sure you do a backup of all the important things that you need to your system or your laptop or whatever, or to another phone maybe, and then you execute these commands, because this involves a wipe of your system. Alright, so that's about it, I think, for this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you love this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, stay safe.